Welcome to the Colorado Rapids Youth Soccer Club's Site Coordinator Training for Fall 2014. I'm going to start out with a program overview. The mission of the U.S. Soccer Foundation is to enhance, assist, and grow the sport of soccer in the United States with a special emphasis on programs and projects serving vulnerable communities. The main program that we focus on with the U.S. Soccer Foundation is Soccer for Success, but the foundation is also involved in a grants program, field building, and a pass-back program that allows organizations across the country to exchange used equipment. I'm going to talk a little bit about the reasons why the U.S. Soccer Foundation created the Soccer for Success program. As many of you know, the United States is suffering from a childhood obesity epidemic. 1 in 3 children in this country are overweight or obese. This video talks a little bit about the results of that statistic.
I probably would make a time machine.
I would make medicine for the sick.
I'd probably invent something new.
我会赢到5个总冠军戒指。
If I could have an extra 5 years to live.
You said 5, right?
5 years. It's a long time.
I would try to fix everything I did bad.
I would bring my uncle back because I miss him very much.
I would get more hamsters.
I would probably want to go looking for dark matter.
I think I'd go looking for aliens.
If I could live an extra 5 years. I was thinking about making like a helicopter, like a wooden helicopter, but I don't have any wood.
I want to go check out the moon sometime.
I'd probably teach my sister not to hate tuna.
I would try and invent a machine that lets you run at light speed. If I had 5 more extra years to live, I would be the boss of all the chipmunks.
Eu cantaria na frente de 1 milhão de pessoas.
I don't really know. I think I'd do anything. Why are you asking me that?
In addition to that statistic, there are 18 million children in the United States that need mentors and only 3 million children who receive mentors, leaving a 15 million child mentorship gap. During the after-school hours, every 4 minutes a child is arrested for a drug offense, and every 7 minutes a child is arrested for a violent crime. So throughout the season, I really want everyone to keep in mind that the Soccer for Success program has been created to combat these statistics. That is our mission throughout the entire season. And this video talks a little bit about what we're doing with Soccer for Success here in Denver. The Colorado Rapids Youth Soccer Club started serving children with Soccer for Success in Denver 2 years ago. The U.S. Soccer Foundation provides a quarter of the funding for the program, and the Social Innovation Fund provides another quarter. Over the last 2 years, we've matched funding with the Daniels Fund, the Piton Foundation, and the Colorado Health Foundation. There are 4 components to the program. Those include physical activity, nutrition education, mentorship, and family engagement. The program runs 3 days a week for 90 minutes for 12 weeks in the fall and 12 weeks in the spring. During each soccer practice, we try to get our kids physically active for at least 60 minutes. The CDC recommends that each child receive 60 minutes of moderate to vigorous activity on a daily basis. Each child also receives a free healthy snack before soccer practice. And nutrition is integrated directly into the Soccer for Success curriculum, which we'll get into a bit later. When we look for coaches, we look for mentors first. So we want to find staff members who are going to be positive mentors and adult role models in the lives of the children. For a lot of these youth, these staff members may be the only positive adults they have in their lives. We approach family engagement from a variety of ways. Each month, we send home a nutrition education newsletter to the families. These newsletters give tips and tricks for families, as well as share what their children learned during the Soccer for Success program for the month. We also engage partners like Cooking Matters and the Colorado State University Extension Office to provide 6 to 8 week nutrition education classes for families. And finally, each site will get to participate in a family jamboree. This jamboree is an opportunity for schools from across the Denver metro area to come together and compete in a tournament. Last spring, we had 700 children and adults attend these events. This will give everyone an overview of what the Soccer for Success program looks like nationally. The program started in 2009, serving 4,000 children, increasing to 8,000 the next year, 16,000 in 2012, 18,000 in 2013, and during the 2014-2015 school year, they will serve 30,000 children. In Colorado, from 2012 to 2014, we served 1,200 players per season. We had about 41% girls and 59% boys. A majority of our players were in 3rd to 5th grade, and 94% of our players qualified for free or reduced lunch. The Soccer for Success program is heavily data-based, so we take pre- and post-season BMI, an aerobic capacity measurement, and a nutrition survey, and waist circumference. Between 2012 and 2014, 84% of participants categorized at the beginning of the program as overweight or obese improved or maintained their BMI percentile. 64% of these participants improved or maintained their waist circumference, and 86% of participants who were categorized as having high or some health risks at the beginning of the program improved or maintained their aerobic capacity. Over the next 2 years, we plan to expand to serve 4,000 children. This fall, we will serve 2,000 youth with 200 staff. In the spring, we will serve 2,800 youth with 300 staff. And in fall 2015, we will serve 4,000 youth with 400 staff. Most of you probably already know the program requirements, but the program operates 3 days a week for 12 weeks in the fall and 12 weeks in the spring, and must include all 4 components of the program model. Each staff member is required to have a background check, and you can complete that by completing your coach contract and emailing that in to me. Each team has 1 coach, and each team is made up of 15 players, while each site has 1 site coordinator. We require that all guardians complete required forms prior to children playing on the team, and we will also collect data from each child in the program. We'll go over both of those in a little bit more detail later. The Soccer for Success weekly schedule includes 2 practice days and a game day. Here in Denver, that game day normally includes children playing with other teams at their own site. Some schools are within walking distance of each other, and you can set up games with other site coordinators. The daily schedule has 8 steps, including the staff setup, a warm-up and opening circle when the nutrition portion of the program is introduced, an activity in which that nutrition point is reviewed, a second activity, a scrimmage, a cool down, and and a closing circle and cheer. This year we're very excited to introduce the Mobile Soccer for Success curriculum. This is the website for that curriculum, as well as the username and password. I'll go ahead and walk you through that right now. So when you get to the login page, you can then choose a grade level. So for example, I'm going to be a 3rd to 5th coach today. It'll automatically take you to the first week of the curriculum, and it lays out day 1, day 2, and day 3. And we can see that our healthy nutrition theme is healthy bodies. So I'll take a look at day 2, and we'll go through all 8 steps of the practice. And at the top, I can see that I'm going to be talking about limiting fat and added sugars. Underneath that tab, you can see all the nutrition education points that should be introduced in your opening circle. If I drop down the warm-up and opening circle tab, I can then look at different examples of warm-ups for the day. And of course, you are always welcome to create your own. If I click on the activity, you can see that it lays out my purpose, how to set it up, and step-by-step instructions, as well as soccer coaching points. On the right-hand side, I can see that there are different phases and also a diagram below. I click on Activity 2, it'll have the same layout. Click on Scrimmage. Emphasizes that we want to play small-sided games with goals, no goalkeepers, and use a continuous play model. Click on the cooldown, I can get more examples of warm-ups and cooldown activities. During the closing circle and cheer, it tells me that I need to review the soccer nutrition topics, check in with players, and leave on a positive team cheer. And the last step of the day is the staff debrief. So if I want to look through the various weeks, I can just click on weekly sessions at the top. I'll select week 6. And I'll get the same overview here. This website also includes attention grabbers, which can be very helpful to keep your children engaged throughout the practice. And you can get quick access to warm-up and cool-downs here on the right-hand side. If you click this icon on the right, it gives you a little bit more information, some more about the Soccer for Success philosophy, about the foundation, keys to success, and then soccer terms here as well. If you have feedback on the curriculum, you can also click the Contact Us link, and this will send an email directly to the foundation. The mobile curriculum is not meant to be looked at while on the field. The mobile curriculum is meant to allow coaches to plan their practices before practice begins. Next, we're going to talk about preseason logistics. If you already have your site coordinator handbook, these are the different tabs in that handbook. So as you can see, there are 8 tabs. The first one is the Soccer for Success manual, followed by the procedure manual, then the calendar, then human resources section, registration forms. The 6th tab is child protection. The 7th one is attendance, and the 8th tab is first aid guide. So you can go ahead and label all of those tabs. Underneath the calendar tab, you will find a document that is a few pages long, and on the very front page it will list through the dates that we as program managers have put on that. The first of those is to send in your completed site coordinator contract, and that'll go to Sarah. The second date is to put in your calendar and send that to Haley, and this is the calendar that you'll enter all of that information onto. We've also put in dates that your coaches need to enter attendance into Salesforce, dates that you need to enter timesheets and monthly check-ins and send them to Sarah, and also dates to put in to email your snack roster to Sarah as well. And finally, we've put dates that will deliver paychecks to schools or recreation centers and tentative dates for the family jamboree. These are the dates that we ask you to enter. So we want to know when your registration event date is, your program's start and end date, any holidays that interfere with practice, And then we also ask that you number each of your sessions, so S1, S2, S3, all the way through S36. You'll also mark the end of your add drop period, which is the end of the 3rd week of your program, and enter when you will be doing your pre- and post-season data collection. So that'll normally be the 1st or 2nd week of practice, and then 56 days after you do your pre-data collection, you can begin your post-data collection. And the reason that we ask for these dates is that we are running about 40 sites this fall, and we want to make sure we have a calendar of events that includes all of our sites. Now, if you flip to that registration tab in your binder, you're going to see what our registration form looks like. On the very first page, we have several required items, including the child's full name, date of birth, their grade, their student ID number, and allergies and medical conditions. The information below that we really encourage students to fill out, but we understand that that is not required information. If you flip to page 2 of the registration form, that's our release waiver and indemnity agreement, and all students must have that completed in order to play in the program. If this is not signed, they cannot play. If you flip to the 3rd page, you'll see the model release and authorization to video and photograph. That does not necessarily have to be completed, but if a parent decides not to sign that release, then just make a note of it, so if we do come to your school or we want to film or have pictures taken, we know that those children cannot be included in those pictures. At the bottom of that same page, you'll see a release stating that we are allowed to collect data from the students. If a family member does not sign that, please also make a note of that, and that child will not be included in the data collection portion of the program. Page 4 includes parent-guardian information. Some of this is similar to what was collected on the first page, but this page is actually staying at the site, whereas the first 3 pages are being sent back to our main office. So this is really important information for your coaches to have. Page 5 includes the parent-student contract. So this is a tool that you can use during the season if you're having issues with a child in your program or a guardian in your program, and you can kind of take a look back at that contract and show them what they agreed to at the beginning of the season. Just a note about the student ID numbers. That's mainly for Denver Public School students. We need to make sure that that is as accurate as possible. We enter those student ID numbers into the community partnership system, and that allows us to gather students' TCAP scores, attendance, and behavior issues. Once you've done your registration event and you have all of your registration forms together, you'll be creating your teams. Some sites do that on a lottery system, some do that on a first come, first serve. Whatever basis you want to do that on is completely fine with us. We do recommend that you create a wait list. Most of our schools have students on a wait list who they just didn't have space for on the teams yet. So make sure you have a list of those students, and if a child drops from the program during those first 3 weeks, you can call a student up from that wait list. We are really trying to have 50% of our players be girls and 50% be boys. Right now we're at about 40% and 60%. So do everything that you can to really save spots for those girls and recruit them. You'll also see on this slide a breakdown of teams, and this is for a site that has 5 teams. So you can adjust it however you would like, but we do strongly recommend that at that 4th and 5th grade level, you break out the teams by gender and no longer have co-ed teams. These are the administrative duties of the site coordinator once you have all of those registration forms and you have created your teams. There are separate YouTube videos that will take you through each of these processes. I'll just go through them quickly right now. So this first step is that you're going to enter students into an Excel document, and that needs to be done by the first day of practice because that's how you'll create your attendance sheets. The second step is to enter your teams into Salesforce. So you'll enter each of your registration forms into Salesforce, or if students have been in the program in a previous season, then you will just roll those students over. And again, there's a YouTube video that will show you how to do that. The third step is Infinite Campus, and this doesn't necessarily apply to every site. This is only for Denver Public Schools. When we enter students into the community partnership system, we must have the student's exact name as they're registered in Denver Public Schools. So a lot of students will only write their first and last name on these registration forms, and that name will not match what they're registered in Infinite Campus as. If those names don't match when we enter it into our community partnership system, then that child will not show up in our system. It's really important that all that information be accurate. It gives us a lot of academic data, which helps us with our grant writing for sustainability of the program. This fourth step that you're going to do is just tear off the first 3 pages of your registration packet, and you'll send them to the program managers at the main office. So you can either drop them off, we can pick them up if we're by the school, or you can scan and email them. But we do need those by the end of the first pay period. The last 2 pages of the registration packets should go into the team books as soon as practice starts. So this is going to be the emergency contact information for your coaches to use if a player is injured. These can either go into your coach's individual team books, or they can go into a master team book, as long as that information is on site and accessible to coaches during practice time. Again, in order to see details on how to do all of these steps, please see the YouTube videos for entering students into Excel and entering students into Salesforce. Once you have your teams set, you want to make sure to call the students on the team, send a letter home, however you want to best communicate with them, but also notify those students who are on the wait list. We have had incidences where the students on the wait list are not aware that they were waitlisted, and they all show up to practice as well, which can create a very chaotic first day. Another suggestion is posting the teams in a high traffic area of the school or recreation center, and then students will be able to take a look at that and know whether or not they were placed on a team. As I mentioned, we do have a drop add policy. So during those first 3 weeks, site coordinators are required to fill any students who drop from the program. After those 3 weeks, site coordinators are not required to fill those spots, but if they want to, they are more than welcome to. So during this period, it's the coach's responsibility to call the child who is absent, and if the child remains absent, then notify his or her guardians that he or she has been dropped from the program, and then call a child from the wait list. The site coordinator's responsibility is to email an updated roster to Haley at the end of the add drop period with new additions either highlighted or bolded in some way. You then have to add students to Salesforce and then scan and email the first 3 pages of all new registration packets to Haley. We also encourage parents and guardians to volunteer for practices. They can help by setting up the fields or monitoring snack or in any other way that you think is appropriate. But volunteers are not background checked, and they are under no circumstances allowed to be with any child or group of children without a Soccer for Success staff member. Each coach also receives a team book. This is going to be the content of the team book. It's about the same as what's in your site coordinator binder, but we do add a supplemental curriculum as well. Next, we're going to discuss managing coaches. As a site coordinator, you're responsible for hiring and recruiting coaches, preparing monthly participant attendance and snack sheets, and also submitting monthly timesheets and monthly check-ins. Coaches are responsible for coaching, obviously, and then taking attendance, recording snack, and entering monthly participant attendance in Salesforce. As you recruit coaches, we recommend that you look for teachers, paraprofessionals, parents, school volunteers, and even children of teachers, as long as they're 18 or older, and can pass a background check. We can run a background check on anyone who has a social security number or a green card. I must receive the independent contractor agreement from all of your coaches 7 days prior to when your program starts, so that I can make sure that they are cleared to coach. You will receive an email confirmation from me once they have been cleared, and they cannot be in contact with children until you receive that email. I also recommend that you hire extra coaches to staff the program. Throughout your season, you will have days when your regular coaches cannot attend practice. Having subs who are already background checked and trained within your school is going to be very helpful on these days. Coaches are required to find their own substitute and email the site coordinators within 24 hours of the planned absence and let them know who the substitute coach is going to be. If you do have a coach that does not show up to practice and does not call you to let you know, we leave that decision up to your discretion. So if you do want that coach removed, we can come in and have that conversation with the coach, or if you feel comfortable having that conversation, that's fine too. We're just here to support whatever's best for your site. In terms of participant attendance, site coordinators are responsible for printing out that Excel sheet every month, updating rosters for students who have been added or dropped to the program, and then collecting attendance sheets at the end of each month and emailing them to Sarah. Coaches are responsible for entering attendance onto that Excel sheet, which includes putting in a date above each session number, entering P, A, or L for present, absent, or late, marking if the child had snack, properly denoting if the child has dropped from the program, and then also entering attendance into Salesforce. This is what the Excel sheet is going to look like. Again, there is a separate YouTube video that will show you how to fill this out and show your coaches how to fill this out. Each coach must also enter attendance into Salesforce for all of their students and for themselves. This can be found in the procedures manual in the second tab of your site coordinator binder, and it can also be found on our YouTube channel. Site coordinators must submit timesheets to Sarah each month, and with that timesheet, they will also submit the monthly check-in. This check-in just gives us an overview of the program. We do have 40 sites, and we'll be out to each site twice during the season to observe a full practice and talk with coaches, but this is really your opportunity to tell us how we can support you better. If either of these is not submitted on the due date, then paychecks for that pay period will be rolled over to the next pay period. This is what the monthly timesheet looks like. There is another YouTube video that will take you through the process of filling this out, and that can be found on our YouTube channel. Our coach evaluation forms can be found in your HR section of your site coordinator binder. These are really a tool that this is really a tool that you can use throughout your season. It's not a requirement, but if you do feel like your coaches need to be evaluated throughout the season, you can do that around the 6-week mark and again at the 11-week mark. If you want us to come in and observe your coaches and have that conversation, we're more than happy to do that. But again, if you want to use this as a tool, it is available. Now we're going to discuss the snack component of the program. We recommend that you set aside about 15 to 30 minutes for a snack period before practice, and that time period is going to really depend on how many teams you have and how long it takes them to eat snack. I would organize teams by table or area, so on that first day of practice, it's really important for everything to be very organized and to start off the season on the right foot. So putting up signs in your cafeteria or your gym to let each team know where they should sit is going to be really helpful. When a child takes a snack, that coach or that site coordinator is going to write down P for present, L for late, and then circle that if that child takes a snack. If that child does not take a snack, they do not have to circle those letters. For Aurora Public Schools and Denver Public Schools, you must email your snack roster to me on the first of each month. Snack time is also a really good transition time, so you can have the younger players put on their shin guards during snack. It takes less time for them to do it during snack than to do it out on the field. You can have everyone go to the bathroom, change into their gym clothes. For Denver Public Schools and Aurora Public Schools, the procedures are a bit different. So you'll want to make sure that the site coordinators at Denver Public Schools coordinate with the kitchen manager. Let your kitchen manager know how many snacks you're going to need on a daily basis. Look at your attendance from the day before and see if you had less than your normal amount, and decrease that number for the next day. For each snack that is unclaimed, the Rapids Youth Soccer Club is charged 45 cents per snack. Last spring, that was an average of $450 per month. This fall, we are starting an incentive program, so whichever site returns the snack roster on time, and also whichever site returns the snack roster on time and has the lowest percentage of unclaimed snacks will receive a gift card to a restaurant. Now, Aurora Public Schools does not have any charges, but they do audit the program quite frequently, so it's very important that we abide by their procedures. So each child must take both components of snack. They have to take both the milk and the carrots, or whatever that snack is for the day. Aurora Public Schools cannot get reimbursed for this unless both components of the snack are taken, so it's very important that they take both. As a child takes the snack, a site coordinator, a coach must be watching and actually mark down that P, L, or circle it to indicate at the time that they take the snack. At the end of the day, the site coordinator completes the weekly production record, and they give a hard copy of that snack roster to their kitchen manager. At the end of each month, you're going to turn in your paperwork to your kitchen manager, your nutrition services liaison, and also to me on the first of each month. This applies to all sites. We want to make sure that cold food has been in the refrigerator and is placed back in the refrigerator if it's going to be used later on or the next day. All food must be kept at least 6 inches above the floor, and try to use gloved hands or tongs for fresh fruit. During this slideshow, we'll talk a bit about child protection. The rapid social media and electronic communications policy is that no child should be following a coach on internal and external websites, including Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, or any other form of electronic communication. And players should not be following coaches, coaches should not be following players. So all social media communication should follow the 2D policy. This includes not only Facebook messages, text messages, but also phone calls as well. So if a staff member for some reason needs to call a child on their personal phone, then another background checked Soccer for Success staff member must also be present for that call or as a third party on that call. If a coach needs to text message a child or email a child, then another background checked staff member should be as a third party copied on that text message or on that email. If a child comes to you with a complaint of abuse, the first thing you want to do is make sure that child knows that he or she is not responsible for the abuse and that that child did the right thing by telling you what happened. Try to control your facial expression during these kinds of conversations. Showing shock or disgust may scare that child away and make them not want to tell you any more about the situation. Take any story of abuse seriously and report it. Even if you don't think you have enough information, still make that report. The hotline will tell you whether or not they can pursue the report, but they will still make a note of it. So if someone else calls later and makes another report of abuse, they might be more likely to be able to go and investigate. Another thing to keep in mind is that you don't want to force the child to tell you more than they are comfortable with telling you. You don't need to investigate the report and prove that it happened. You just need to report a suspicion. If you flip to the Child Protection Policy section of your Site Coordinator binder, you'll find a one-pager with our process for reporting abuse. Your coaches will also receive this one-pager. The first thing you want to do is immediately report to the proper authority. So we have the phone numbers for Denver, Arapahoe, Adams, and Boulder listed on our one-pager. If you need other numbers, please let me know and we can add them. After you've made a report, immediately call or email Sarah and let her know that you've made that report. Next, if you are a coach, you want to work with your site coordinator to make sure that the proper authorities in your school know. So whether that be the guidance counselor or the social worker, make sure that that person knows and can touch base with the child. The person who makes the report is also required to complete an incident report form within 24 hours. The program managers will then report the suspicion to the report abuse response team, which includes the executive director of America Scores Denver and the executive director of the Rapids. If the suspect is a staff member, then he or she will be immediately suspended, and the program manager will report the suspicion to the U.S. Soccer Foundation. The program managers will then follow up with the staff member who made the report 1 week after the report has been filed. Again, all background checks must be handed in to program managers 7 days before coaches are in contact with children, and site coordinators must receive a confirmation email from program managers that coaches have passed their background checks. We're also going to talk a bit about staff behavior towards children. So each situation must be both observable and interruptible, and we want to avoid all one adult, one child situations. These are a few different situations where it can be a challenge. So for bathroom and water breaks, we want all 15 players on a team going into the bathroom together for water breaks. We don't want one coach walking one child inside to the bathroom. We want all 15 children under the supervision of that coach throughout the entire practice. During BMI measurements and waist circumference measurements, we will have one male staff member and one female staff member, and then one female child and one male child in a room with the door open during the entire process. That will avoid the one adult, one child situation and also make the situation observable and interruptible. If a child's transportation home arrives late, please ask another staff member to stay with you at the site until that child's transportation comes. If that staff member cannot stay, ask the second to last child's transportation home to stay with you. Just explain that you have this policy and see if they can stay a little bit later. If that's not possible, stay outside with the child in a public area. And if it's too cold outside or if it's getting dark, stay inside of your school or recreation center, but try to stay in front of one of the cameras in the school. As you all know, this is a mentoring program, and we do want to make space for that. But these mentoring moments can occur in group situations or also one-on-one, but those situations can be off to the side of a group while still visible to children and other staff members. We also want to make sure that our fields and our equipment are safe. So coaches should walk the field before practice, ensure that there's no traffic, clear the field of debris, and look for any strangers. All balls should be fully inflated so that children do not roll their ankles, and all children are required to wear shin guards throughout the entirety of practice. Some children will not want to wear them because they'll say that they're too scratchy or they're too big, but one way that you can avoid this is have the kids put on their soccer socks underneath their shin guards. This will make them not scratchy and also will make sure that the shin guards fit properly. I already talked about this a little bit, but we want each coach to be responsible for his or her team of 15. They should be under that coach's direct supervision during the entirety of practice. So we don't want a coach sending, 4 children inside to go to the bathroom while they have the other 11 children out on the field, or vice versa, and having 7 children stay with another coach while they take 8 children inside. We want those children under the direct supervision of their coach during the entirety of practice. The Denver Public School policy is that any non-Denver Public School employee who is a coach with the Soccer for Success program at a Denver Public School must always be within the line of sight of a Denver Public School employee. So if you have any coaches at your school that are not DPS employees and they take their children to the bathroom, they have to go with another staff member and team who is a DPS employee. We want each of our sites to have sign-out procedures. We do have a template that you will see in the YouTube video. We do have a sign-out template that you will see in the YouTube video for the attendance Excel document, but you do not have to use that. As long as you have some process by which parents or guardians can sign children out, that's all we need. Each site must have some kind of sign-out procedure. We do have a sign-out template available in the attendance Excel document, and we will show you how to use that in the YouTube video. If you do not want to use that and you have some other method of sign-out procedures, that's completely fine by us, but we do want to have some record if a child was driven home, if a child walked home or biked home, and who signed them out.